Good morning, Azeroth. It is the 16th of April 2025. Grab your morning beverage and welcome to the stream. Today we'll be continuing on with our Undermine Weeklies with another reset, with another batch to get through, more rep to earn, more valor to grab. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. Hope you're doing well today. You're about halfway through the week. Keep yourselves hydrated. Take it steady. You've got this. You'll have to forgive me, I'm still a little full of it from yesterday. Still a little groggy and sore. So my voice is a little bit not here, but we press on. Also, very few hours of sleep, unfortunately, but I didn't want to miss another day when I felt somewhat alright. Good morning, Emily. Hope you're doing alright. Hope the return to work hadn't been too rough for you.
Speak and be heard.
Grab the priority one. Some world quests.
When shadow
What have you got for us, Farin?
rise.
Undermine stuff, that'll do. And go.
Do you also hear Beladar's song? Our deeds give it strength.
Let us not forget this week to go and check on the Great Vault, as I so often do. Let's have a gander, see if we get lucky with an upgrade. Or that 4-piece of our tier set, that'd be nice. Okay, highest item level, these two down here. That is an upgrade. Not an upgrade. Oh, the shoulders would be nice. Can't remember if veteran is higher than champion. I don't think so. But the upgrade's better. We'll go with the girdle. Ah, I see. I completely forgot that they had the a lot of the raids linked with story completion, which I don't think is inherently a bad thing, but it certainly is pretty torturous getting through it all mandatorily. The pros and cons of doing it. Yes, you have to go through that stuff to get anywhere, but at the same time, at least you're encouraged to go through the story. And I remember some of those raids actually being quite enjoyable. It kind of, because you had to go through it like that, there was always other players going through it at the same time. Oh, not that many if you're 20 minutes in queue, goodness me. I know they had the like savage variants which put them up to end game. That hard difficulty. Stuff to earn and things to see. Again, I will say as you go through more and more of the expansions and those raids, I found it worth slogging through to see that content. Again, I'd have loved for WoW over the years to give you a reason to go back and do the old raids outside of Transmog, especially while leveling up, so folks can see them. Doesn't it take away from that slog though?
Temp workers to pick up odd jobs.
Hey, hang on, guys, look.
Doing, pal?
What are we with? Venture Co.
Watch your
Good stuff. And don't let them work you overtime.
I hate to send you into existential dread, but I can't remember if the raid was the end,
I'll be waiting.
or if after the raid you still had to do like the...
Come back for
In the same way WoW has its point patches between big stuff, if you had to do the same thing there. I've got a world quest in here. Oh, it's dance with people. Beautiful. Tickle this fella. Hey pal, folks see me smile's bad for business.
Time's a wasting.
I mean, I remember specifically some of the Heavenwood fights and the big dragon stuff was really cool to engage with. And then the it might have been Stormblood, which I know isn't regarded as highly as some of the others, but there's a fight in there as a tank where one of the bosses swings like a giant sword and the tank has to be the one to kind of parry it. So the sword comes down, you hit a button, and you're just doing like essentially a quick time event and hammering a button, but it was really cool. There's a lot of spectacle in those raids.
I'll miss you.
Right, let's start cracking on. And we go. I'd like to think I've gotten better at driving. Sometimes I whiff the drift and end up jumping all over the place, but it's fine. Nope. Oh, and then the frame rate didn't like it. It moved too fast. Now, I can see your reasoning to want to spend to skip it, but there's so many little parts of that journey that I think are worth doing. Like, truly, it is a slog. I ain't going to take that away from you. It is absolutely a slog. But I think actually getting in there and seeing the raids is a fun part of the experience, at least when I was leveling through it. Now, granted, as I was going, I had a friend at the time who was shepherding me through to a degree. So I had someone explaining to me the mechanics as I went, which for a couple of them was kind of necessary. But again, I don't know where the numbers are like these days. I can't remember if the game has a looking for group tool as well. But I think if you pay to skip a load of stuff to get to, I assume it takes you straight to the latest expansion. It won't feel worth it at that point. Maybe if you enjoy the gameplay enough and that's like your main reason and your go-to. But a lot of that story I found worth doing. And that's even coming from someone who didn't complete Shadowbringers. Just because that was about the time I stopped. If it's only a skip for a Realm Reborn, I think that's better because you're at the point now where, needs be, you can look up what happened in the raids. You know, that's not too bad then, because I still think the best of the content is ahead of you. But you're, especially when you've got limited time to play, you know, you're back at work and all that. You don't want to spend that time, most of it being in queue. So I completely understand that. And to be fair, you can always go back and see those raids again. I can't remember how it was going through all the stuff solo, but certainly the Savage versions, if you get really deep into it, are something a lot of folks enjoyed doing. Ow. I missed something and got damaged. Oh, bombs. I'm fine. So I can't remember where the skips are at for that one these days. I think it's a... When WoW does it, it also does a disservice to all the content that's come before when you're like, hey, new player who's never played the game, get the new expansion. Here's a boost to nearly end game. For a uniform experience, I get it, but there's so much that could be gained with a more curated story experience. I think 14 proves that to a large degree. I know well, I haven't played it myself. From what I understand of Guild Wars 2, which a lot of folks like, it's a lot more horizontal than vertical in terms of approaching the content. Like, you don't have to do it all in the same way. In a similar way to Elder Scrolls Online, I think, handles it. But that, while I can consider Guild Wars 2 on occasion, I always feel like, oh, maybe I should play this and give it a go sometime. Elder Scrolls Online, every time I've tried it and opened it up, has just been like, well done, you got through the tutorial. Now look at all these microtransactions and all the story you won't be playing unless you give us a load of money. To which I just go, ugh. It does me nutted when every time I start that game. Wanna do the Thieves Guild? Well, you best give us some money. Oh, please. It's really hard to get into a new MMO off the bat anyway. Easier when you've played them before. Honestly, I find it fascinating and I'd love to hear this for anyone who started WoW these days and having never played an MMO before, it'd be a nightmare. Emma, take a breath. Take a breath. You get to go do the fun dragon story now. You get to go play in the snow. It's okay. Oh boy. Progress can be made. Forward momentum. Now, I will say, because it's just come back to me, one of the main characters that you met for the raid you, I believe, were queuing for, I think it was like an old tower. And a lot of the raids for Final Fantasy, a chunk of them are based in the older games. In one way or another. I can't remember quite how many. I've never been the biggest Final Fantasy fan, but that's how it was sold to me. But one of the characters in there comes back in Shadowbringers, and it's a big reveal moment. So it might be worth at some point just having a breakdown of the A Realm Reborn raids and their story, just so you're on the same page. Again, that's all I can remember. I can't remember how important this... I think this character is important. I think they're like... I can't remember. As I said, I just got to the point of being reintroduced, so... worth bearing in mind. You have a lot of good ahead of you. At some point during Heavensward, you can get that Death Knight-y class, or whatever they call it. Dark Knight? Angry Paladin? I'm not sure. I can't remember. There'll be someone in the comments 5 years from now being like, it was this name, you absolute buffoon! But I'm pretty sure a couple of the classes were locked behind story progression from some of the expansions. Aren't there any enemies spawning properly for this event? It's usually a rare by now. I need my copper keys. A lot of folks have been playing a game lately, I believe it's called Blueprints, which is a roguelike exploration puzzle game, which is intriguing because you don't get too many puzzle games get hugely popular. It's always been more of a niche genre. Now, I'm horrendous at puzzles. Almost as bad as I am at stealth, but not quite. So not necessarily one that I'm too eager to jump into, but I've seen enough folks playing it and stories begin to circulate around it that it's piqued my curiosity to let me know if any folks out there have seen or played more. But it's certainly lovely to see, especially for a genre that lets you change so much when puzzles tend to be something that's really bespoke in most games. It makes me very curious how that works as the game's main focus, but it's nice to see a genre that has become hugely oversaturated in recent years still doing new things. I think that's an extremely relatable part of it, Emilis. Every time I have to do a puzzle, 20 minutes trying to solve it, another 10 looking into it on YouTube. Absolutely. I don't think that's a bad thing by any means. There will be purists out there who are always like, oh, never look up the puzzle, but at some point you want to continue playing the video game. You want to see the next puzzle and see how you stack up against it. And on some games, especially your older point-and-click adventure games, you'll get some obtuse garbage that made it very difficult to intuit what a solution might well be. You see that less these days, but it's not impossible. I mean, we were talking about it for Remnant 2, where to unlock one of the subclasses, it relied on data miners to find out wearing a specific armor set, going to a specific hidden door to access stuff behind. That was a lot of fun, though, that the devs actually considered that and put that kind of stuff in. Rare. Oh. Nice. I'm still in love market research off getting friendly with these goddamn dark fuse. The next patch that they're going to buff reputation gains by 100% for all of the cartels apart from the dark fuse, which makes me sad. I mean, on the one hand, people would be very upset that they grinded and didn't have that buff. Like, I get that, people would be pissed. I'm just like, oh boy. Where's this jetpack? Yeah, exactly, you're like, right, I gave it my best efforts. I had a good old go at it. And again, when your gaming time is limited and you just want to enjoy yourself, you don't need to be banging your head against a brick wall unnecessarily. It's like we were saying the other day about like the Souls series. If at some point things are too frustrating, you're not going to keep playing, and that's okay.
Interesting. You trying something, pal?
It's over. The package has arrived. I'm assuming you mean the skip. I'm surprised it wasn't instantaneous. Wings. You're on my way through. Beefed it. Lost all momentum. Oh well. No. Aye, shite. There we go.
You ever think about doing this professionally?
Wait for the mailman to bring you a level skip. Oh dear. Again, that's one of my biggest complaints with Final Fantasy XIV is the bloody Mog Station and how everything kind of functioned there. Always a bit of a nightmare. I don't know if it's gotten any better in the years since I've played.
Got a work order for scum cleanup if you want the gig. Just be warned.
And we're on 23. Yeah, we got time before the surge pricing. Murder the slimes. W mech things. Got a little more information or looked into the upcoming patch. Comes out next week. And while there's a lot of stuff over the course of the patch I'm pretty excited to get into, the time gating almost for how those different events and features are going to be thrown out to us is frustrating. Alright, what's the word? I don't quite understand Blizzard's approach other than trying to slowly stretch out content to people. I feel as though it would have gone over better to just give us everything up front. If stuff ain't ready, stuff ain't ready, but it doesn't feel that way. So the first thing we get on the 22nd is the Arathi, like, nightfall invasions of the leftover Nerubian Sareki forces. And it's just standard world event. Bar at the top, everyone contributing.
Oh, that smell. No wonder Steam Weedle outsourced that contract.
Go and do a load of bits and bobs with a load of other players around the place. Job done, kind of thing. You earn a currency, you get some transmogs. You get a mount, you get some weapons. Catch up gear. You know, the bells and whistles of every WoW event since they started doing them in Dragonflight proper. Like that formula. From what I understand, it pops up every 45 minutes or so.
Propaganda's not gonna spread itself. Go deliver some newspapers, why don't you?
Hang on, Grimlar, I will. Deliver some newspapers. But I can completely... Well, for the 4 weeks until more content comes out, you know, it's not actually that long in the grand scheme of things, but I completely understand player perception of, like, you announced this content with the Horrific Visions, you announced it with whatever Dastardly Duos was going to be at the time. Both of which, again, I never got around to the Horrific Visions, so I'm really interested to spend some time and really give that a go. And the Dastardly Duos thing seems like a more score attack mode against a variety of old bosses that you can either do solo or in a group, and if you do it solo, you get your follower dungeon folks come in and fight with you. Which, great, yeah, lets me play that content a little easier. But staggering it out is just a little confusing. So the Horrific Visions is like a full month afterwards. It's the 20th of May. And then the Dastardly Duos is a few weeks after that one. We don't know how that's going to line up with their current patch cadence. Some folks saying if they wait afterwards, it'll break the 8-week cadence they've had since Dragonflight. Maybe the Dastardly Duos event continues into the next patch, which will assumably be a 0.7 patch. It might go straight into 0.2, but I doubt it. Mal-informed citizen, please. Yeah, I heard those rumblings too, Emilis. I think the after Shadowbringers was so popular, I think you were going to hit that point where not necessarily the honeymoon phase is worn off, but it's very difficult to keep that momentum, and especially for an MMO, where it feels like, what's its name? Dawn Trail, Dawnbringer, one of those. Is almost like WoW's Dragonflight of a reset, because a lot of the story has moved on, a lot of the characters have moved on.
They all bought it. The people are eating out of our hands thanks to you.
And so you kind of have to reset the table, as it were. And those are always difficult ones for people to get truly excited by. In the same way, it was the same with Dragonflight. I love Dragonflight. It was cozy. It was fun to see just the dragons get our own, fly around. I enjoyed the story.
All right.
Don't trail that. Thank you.
Good deal.
And I know some folks were annoyed about the story itself for a couple of the characters, some for valid reasons, others for not so valid reasons from what I was reading. But as the patches have gone on, I feel like reception's gotten better. At least from the little bits that pop up in my various feeds. I think by the end of that expansion leading into the next one, it'll probably go down well enough. But such is the ebb and flow of game design and ongoing games especially. Where are we going, Doug?
Listening.
I got places to be. Nana's going to want me to work on car deliveries. Yes. Break this equipment. It's too safe. I think a lot of folks felt that for Battle for Azeroth. I liked a lot of the premise. I liked a lot of the lore they were kind of bringing in. But there were a lot of big swings in that expansion, and not all of them landed well. And I think it was... Legion was so interesting. It started that curve of borrowed power with the artifact weapons. And I think that just ended up being something that then stuck with WoW for such a long time. That didn't go over well, because it was just meant every expansion was this giant reset on a system we'd never see again. And they've since gotten away from that. And while it worked that first time with Legion so well, the Heart of Azeroth, a necklace compared to, you know, in my case as a Ret Paladin, holding the Ashbringer, it's night and day in terms of how much it means. And lore-wise, Legion, I thought it was really hard to go back to the faction conflict. I know a lot of folks were glad they did, and no one can deny that that first cinematic was an absolute banger. Nor that all the old soldier stuff with Starfang wasn't just fantastic. Like, all that was brilliant as far as I'm concerned. It's a shame we've never got that since, to be perfectly honest, but it was probably extremely expensive and a lot of hard work. Also, I don't know who you'd do it with nowadays if not Starfang. Even then, Starfang seemed like not a character who was unknown per se, but he wasn't... Certainly when you thought of WoW lore characters, he wasn't the one who came top of mind. But it worked really, really well for him. Next time, once a blue moon, I will go back and watch those because it was so fun. But there were so many things set up in Battle for Azeroth that what's their name? The Drusvar. And everything about them. And the zone for the Alliance and the whole, like, creepy witch vibes and folktale stories lost in a forest was awesome. Like, that was all really, really cool, and it never went anywhere. And like Warlords of Draenor before it was like, oh, there's cut content here. There is a story that was going to happen that has not come to pass. There was even thoughts that the Drust would just appear in Shadowlands because they seem to be coming from a realm of death of some kind, but that never went anywhere as well. Crying shame. I hope they get back to that someday. Just because the Drust are interesting. It was a vibe in WoW we haven't really had before or since. Weird dark fuse. I don't know when they ever get back to a PvP style expansion. Not that Battle for Azeroth was inherently PvP, but just story-wise, having forces against each other. It's a little harder to do with how many barriers break down. It always ends up being the same thing. At some point, a threat larger than a single faction can handle comes along, and then we have to work together and we defeat it, and the tenuous peace is achieved, yada yada yada. But they have left it possible. Oh, don't tell me this is the 4th week in a row these package ones are still bloody broken. God damn it. Well, we cancel and go again. Well, they kind of set up in... There's an audio story that I believe Metzen actually narrates, which goes into what Thrall and Jaina were getting up to during the events of the War Within's initial campaign. Because, you know, you start the story and then Thrall and Jaina are like, oh, we're going off to go and talk to the factions and then we'll get reinforcements to come over here.
You did the job,
So it goes into that interim. And it's well worth a listen. I enjoyed it. Absolutely. But the... What's the word? The overall theme there was the faction conflict is still going on. There are people who hold those grudges. There were people hurt by everything that went on. And you never fully get rid of that resentment. You never fully get rid of that old hatred. There was like one of the villainous characters escaped, I believe. And they were trying to set up a... It was set in the Arathi Highlands. And it was the Magar Orcs trying to resettle there.
Interesting.
And the Arathi forces...
Good job, Dollface. You make sure I got
I believe it was the daughter of the family there was just like, this was our land. Why are we letting orcs settle here? After all they did. And it was written in such a way that leads me to believe that wasn't them saying, oh, we always get through this conflict. You know, we handle it, it's fine. It felt to me more like, no, these seeds are here. And at any point, the wrong thing can happen and it will explode. I think the bigger problem is how you do that in a way that doesn't offset one of the two factions as the villain by the end. I think it was really unfortunate for the Horde to have both Garrosh and then Sylvanas so back to back. And again, we've been over it before. A lot of the decisions around Sylvanas were set up by one scumbag who is no longer at the company. And they just kind of had to work with it. And I'm sure come midnight she'll get her send-off into the sun proper, but... Goddamn pipes. The Alliance never really... Like, there were moments where Jaina did some horrendous shit. In the book, she nearly flooded Orgrimmar, but it's not like we got a boss fight for it. You know, that kind of thing. And there was a chance that when the Night Elves under Tyrande, when she went on the warpath, had an opportunity, as they were being portrayed more in their Warcraft 3 sense, as these really savage warriors, rather than more relaxed priests that WoW tended to portray them as before that point. Which is... It was good to see them, especially like the Darkshore cinematics in Battle for Azeroth, feel fucking scary. Like when you had that, there was the story of that troll telling Nephanos how they were attacked, and you find out, oh, it was just Malfurion being absolutely fucking terrifying. Like, that's great, that's fantastic. And you could have seen some kind of world where Tyrande kept going to the point where, no, we're kind of against anyone. But the Night Elves have had a lot of regrowing, and Night Elf players for a very long time have felt pretty shafted, so happy they have a new home growing now, as it were. Be a nice city to someday have a player house in. And listen, Jaina's been through the bloody ringer as well. And you might argue that come whatever they do with the Arathi Kingdom, right, this Emperor of Light, we will be fighting humans, but we won't be fighting the Alliance, assuming Turalyon doesn't just go on side with them, which is a concern. But to be fair, Turalyon's pretty chill these days. It's going to be interesting to see. Again, there's nothing stopping them making brand new characters and making one of the factions villainous again in one way or another. Or at the very, you know, not even making one villainous, just making their conflict that isn't one side is doing the bad, you know? That both sides are doing a lot of bad shit. I think that was one of the biggest problems. You looked at Sylvanas' actions and other than just the perils of war, there wasn't really anything the Alliance did massive in kind that was portrayed in game. You know, again, a lot of the stuff with Jaina was external. So it was very difficult, I think, for most players to kind of see the Alliance taking any flack, really, other than defending themselves. No, I missed him by a second. I haven't fought that one. Right. Next time. Strange hot tub of tar I've never noticed before. Give me my research. I imagine by the end of this set of expansions, after Last Titan, they're going to kill off a character or two. I can feel it in my bones. I don't know if Thrall gets through. I think Jaina probably does. I think that with the Kirin Tor no longer a giant city of mages and now bookkeeping? That's kind of how Jaina sold it to Khadgar. We'll be there to do research when the world needs us. We're not frontline mages anymore. We're tired. Like, we can't keep doing this.
Explosive bargains. Check in real
There's every
soon.
opportunity for new folks to turn up. But in the same vein as the Arathi, though, you've got Urel and the light-based Draenei forcibly converting people to the light. Like, at some point, all this light-related bad stuff's going to come home to roost. And while it's Alliance coded, it's not the Alliance. So, again, unless we then get to a point where a load of different areas of the Alliance are like, no, do you know what? We have always sided with the light. We will side with these. Maybe you get some Tauren Sunwalkers, though, view the light quite differently. Maybe that's a reason to get a load of other racist paladins. Give me my walking paladin game. Give it to me. Don't know if I'd race change, but I'd be real tempted. God damn these effing packages. Why, you be broken?
That job's just your style. Burn rubber, honey.
How many jobs do I need to do? 2 more jobs. I'm just trying to think of whatever other Alliance characters are kind of sat in the back burner that could have something to say. Talia 4 Dragon's an interesting character that started to get a little bit of build-up and then it stopped, but she didn't really have Horde animosity. I can see her coming back with Bolvar in The Last Titan to kind of help knock down some Scourge. The Ebon Blade and the Death Knights have always been multi-faction, so you can't really focus it with them. Maybe you have some of the Council of Three Hammers from the Dwarves, now that Magni's back. Maybe one of the Dwarf clans splinters off, but even then that'd feel like a cop-out to Horde players, wouldn't it? Oh, it's not all of the Dwarves. We're not going to kill all the Dwarven leaders, just this one who's angry. Garrosh took a lot of folks with him, I suppose.
Did the job,
Well,
and
it wasn't just Garrosh.
I call that a success.
And no, I think it's really hard in an MMO with so many characters to try and make it not just even, but to have it not be as simplistic of just good and evil. Because you've only got so much room to work with. I think what we've been shown, we can push our story content. We're not breaking new ground here. WoW hasn't suddenly become Baldur's Gate 3.
Good job.
But it's certainly a lot better than it
Make sure I
was.
got my cutting tip right.
How many is that? Cheers, Nana. We got you sorted. Can I hit this scrap pile? I can! Dig. You digging the scrap? That bit bombs. I think a lot of the faction stuff, it's all going to be very difficult to predict until we see the state of the world at the end of Last Titan. We don't know how many of the different races and factions of Azeroth are going to be completely on side with the Titans, or if there's going to be enough overwhelming evidence that everyone's just like, nah, screw Ammonfall, we don't give a damn. Anduin's story has been a really interesting one. I've really liked his journey. I think everything he had to deal with and what he went through and how they've expressed it in game, I think it's been handled really well. But he has been going for a while, has Anduin, you're right, on that front. And he certainly seems like the type, like his father, to make that big sacrifice. But you got to remember, there was that prophecy or that vision Velen had at some point where he and Anduin were fighting in some final war, light versus void, and Anduin's an old man on a throne. So it depends if they want to stick to that, or whether that was just one of many visions. You could always write off a vision one way or another. Maybe he gets aged up like Khadgar did initially. But I think he's certainly up there. In that band of characters, Thrall, Jaina, Anduin, maybe Bane, Bloodhoof, characters who've just been around that way in a while. Although I don't think I'd want Bane to be knocked out. He's had it in Dragonflight. He had some moments to finally process some stuff. I felt good for Bane. Another one of those where
Thank you, pal.
the events of a book and Garrosh fighting Cain would have been really cool to see in a cinematic in-game rather than just outside of it. I still think Vol'jin got shafted more than pretty much anyone, though. I loved Vol'jin. He barely got a second in the sun. And they keep trying to pay homage to him, but it's not the same. It's not the same. There's the Dark Knight the Horde needed. And I still have a pretty soft spot for Lor'themar, to be fair. Dude's been through a lot. He's been around a while. But he's kind of overlooked. You had that time in Throne of Thunder, where him and Jaina's whole thing. It was too soon. I think the send-off would have worked if he'd had a couple of expansions under his belt. But no. I mean, technically, right, when that was Mists of Pandaria, where Vol'jin became War Chief. And then Warlords of Draenor, he wasn't there. You know, he wasn't present in that story. So it didn't feel like he was involved at all. And then Start a Legion, he gets injured and succumbs to his wounds. So it didn't feel like he had an expansion. He was just gone. And I have always a bugbear with that start of Legion because of how Tyrion just got done in. And that demon ate his divine shield, and I'm like, God, don't get me wrong, his heart-wrenching cry and scream of death haunts me to this day. But he didn't get a cool cinematic, he didn't get a moment, and Blizzard were like, oh, you need to understand the severity of the threat we face, and I'm like, yeah, okay, but he just got breathed on by some big guy. We've killed hundreds of just some big guy. God damn it.
We got another fire up here. I need all hands to put it out before it burns my inventory away.
Yeah, hang on, lady. I need to get this scrap.
I got a bet going on the boomball course, and you're gonna be my ringer. Get in there and sink a few
Gribbler,
holy
please.
water.
I just need to get to the back of the golf course. No. Well, it wasn't one of the best allied race things. The Darkspear Trolls quest line, which is actually one of the ones we've got on the channel in one of the WoW playlists. It was alright. We went through with some of the newer leaders and whatnot, but it wasn't as impactful as, say, the Draenei or the Orc one.
There's loads of scrap ripe for the picking in the heaps.
And right now, top of my head, I'm trying to... Was it Rokan? Who's the new leader of the Darkspear? I think. Sure, give them a chance to prove themselves, but again, it doesn't make it easier for Vol'jin. See, I didn't mind Thrall and Garros's duel. What about it? What about it boils your blood? So, is it you wanted the another opportunity to fight Garrosh? Is it the whole, well, Thrall cheated? Like, where's the bugbear here? I'm not saying I am just right about the matter. I just didn't find too much of a problem with it, and it's something that haunted Thrall for a long time thereafter.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
I really liked Garrosh's dialogue in it, to be fair. The way he screamed at him. And for Garrosh being the one in that cinematic, you know, the Warlords of Draenor cinematic to begin with, talking about how times change. For him to be it almost felt like he was a side character in that expansion when it was all of him. Like it was his fault. He is why we're here. He is why everything has gone the way it has. And, oh, it's Gul'dan. Which, don't get me wrong, set up Legion. Set up the Return of Illidan. There's a lot of good stuff there, but kind of felt like Garrosh kind of got shafted as well. I mean, yeah, they did pay it back a little bit in Shadowlands, but I don't think for most people that holds a candle. That doesn't even the scale, as it were. Grab some scrap. Unburn these bins. Swig of his beverage. I need to be doing better about drinking my honey tea as we go. Ugh. These past couple of weeks I've really done a number on my throat, and it's not good. Bit more scrap, a little more water bubble. Maybe there's waiting until the last Titan has come around and put the story where it's going to go before they ever change the login screens. Too many out-of-date faction leaders, too many. Bit more scrap. Need 2 more dumpster fires.
What you got? Break time?
I am Venture Co.
What now? You got it.
Come here, bombs. Okay, how many do I need? 15 at a time. No worries, Emilis. But isn't it 10 minutes of just heading out to a window, grabbing something, just going, oh god, no, I can't even explain how much I hate the whole Garrosh thing.
I haven't seen scrap like that since the great
Unsubscribe.
scrapping. Nice work.
No, there's certainly been a trade-off of various faction leaders. You saw it with the Worgen as well. Again, getting Tessa to come and head up the Worgen. Forsaken getting their own little council going on. Which, it's always difficult with a council to then pick like a figure who stands above the rest and kind of represents your faction as a whole. I think it's a lot easier to get behind singular individual. Even as someone who enjoys the lore and story of the game, it's a lot more difficult to bear it in mind. I think it's more interesting politically and what stories you can tell there, but in terms of it just being memorable, much more difficult. Certainly with the Night Elves too, right? If memory serves. Duranda and Malfurion are kind of like, we're going to retire in Belemeth now. We have fought for this world for far too long. We're going to bed. We're going to go get busy with each other and relax. We have earned it. And more power to them. That they have. But that means that their adoptive daughter, I believe, Chandris, needs to do a lot to... I mean, Chandris has been around in a lot of the expansions, just as a character who's been present. But she hasn't really had a moment to step out from behind the shadow of her parents. I think that's going to be a much harder sell in terms of... I don't think she has a unique model at the moment. That's part of the problem for WoW stuff. Right, where are we at for our world quests? We got one more there, which is just doing some golf. Then we got to get kicked out of the Galagio, which is easy enough. You just run through the doors, and they say nope. And then we got the sniper quest. The golf games ain't too bad. Should be able to handle this smoothly enough. Get out of the way, caddy. Tell a lie. Beefed it. Try again. There you go. Extreme golf. Way to start your morning. And this one curved as well. Avoid the bunker. Lovely. Okay, where was the other two? Down here. Don't even know why they have the first option to kind of put, because none of them require you to put. And you only get one shot each time, so why bother? Just to have it, I suppose. Give me back to Mario Golf on the N64. Bowser take a good old swing with one arm, hit the ball hard enough it turns into a fireball. Loved that shit. Only time I truly enjoyed a bit of golf. At some point, my dad tried to get me and my brother into golf. Took us down to like a driving range. We hit some balls about for a few weeks. Like just on I think it was a Thursday night a few times. And it didn't click. Not for me. I got a lot of old friends who enjoy their golf, but and to be fair, I'm not a big sports dude in general. Did a bit of archery at one point. Didn't do great at that, but I enjoyed it. And then the club we did it with just vanished off the face of the earth. Like literally, one week they were there. Following week they were gone. The website was gone. They were just nowhere to be seen. Me, my brother, and my dad, and my old friend, who were all going, the four of us, it was just suddenly like, oh, why? They've just disappeared. Never tried to get back into it since, but I did enjoy it. Give me that garbage. Oh, we have enough market research to get friendly. However, that does not mean I'm going to do a 9-hour stream going for the trench coat. That just means at some point I'll either do it in my own time or one day I will make a stream of it, but it is not this day. 'Cause that's a whole thing. I know a lot of people have been grinding it out. Honestly, I don't think I could keep yappering on for that amount of time or constantly killing the dudes around here. Or maybe that's doing myself a disservice. Thank you for kicking me. Alright. The big one, some hand-ins, then we've got the side gigs. Oh, a little premature. Turning off the pedal there. It's alright, horse will take me the rest of the way. No, it won't. Come here, old wolf. Yeah. Speaking of battle for Azeroth. That's the teleporter. I'm in the wrong spot. Absolute ninny. What quest was it trying to do? Unclear. This should count as the 10th world quest as well.
Lots of dog fuse. But you're the leading expert at killing them by now, ain't you?
I am Gazlo, but not with a sniper, which I always find it odd. I was going to say maybe they add like an artificer style class, but hunters already use guns. Small part of me that's like, Hitman game. That was a load of live service stuff and, god damn it, looked after itself for a good while that people absolutely adored, with loads of ways to go at different missions and these mini sandboxes with these, a variety of zones, let's say. Did really well for itself. And while I am horrendous at stealth, that game just looked like so much fun. Stuff like this always reminds me of it. Maybe one day I get to that. That'd be a daft game to stream. A lot of it at the moment. A lot of content there. It got announced for the Switch too as well, for God's sake. They're still putting the work in.
Oh, if
Beautiful.
Dark Fuse thinks we're gonna roll over and
Hey,
let
it did
him have
count.
Undermine,
Marvellous.
They better think again.
Let's turn in, pardon me, chunk of these at the Intercontinental. Yo, Smacks, give me my
What you
stuff.
need. Won't find better.
Renown chest,
Come back
very
for
nice.
more. Thanks for stopping by.
Some
I'll
of
be waiting.
these, some of
Come back
these.
for more.
Ooh, and more.
Won't find better.
Oh, I didn't check my checklist. Lovely. Go and refresh that with Chet. I did it. There you go. Another strange robot to give me more valor points. And look at that. We got mostly capped out. Is going to be a problem because the upgrade crests I need to transfer for more of. How am I looking on those? We can jump a few about.
Have I got something for you?
Get me the purple looking helmet. I think I'm good. Sell all my junk. You take these gunk covered thingies over to the scrap folks. Otherwise, not else on there. So that means every cartel is now at Honored.
Keep cool out there.
You know, people have maxed those out. I suppose World Quest spawn every couple of days, so if I wasn't doing it just once a week, maybe I'd be double along with some of them, but even so. I'm not going to turn my nose up at the 100% rep increase coming next patch. I'll take it. Bees and bits and barbs and bits. They can sell as well. That and that. Where is it? Scrap, dude. I take me gunk too. I'm getting used to where he is. Is this... Is it this one? Nope, that's the resort and catering. He's around here somewhere. Should have a big sign on the door. There we go. You're the scrap boy.
Well, well, well.
So you've nearly got enough of those to get the car upgrade. Which again, it's just been too long. Like, we've been in this patch for a while and... it just doesn't feel like we've had that customization to play around with the car at all.
See you around.
Whereas if that stuff had been doled out over the story or at lower levels of the various reps, maybe we'd have actually engaged with mucking around with customizing the car a bit. But so far I've only gotten the 2 from killing rares, which just feels a little, you know, disappointing. But forgot there was a drill here. That one was for story stuff. That doesn't now work. And this one, God knows, maybe it takes us to another patch down the line. Now we've just got the ones to grab for back in the Ringing Deeps. Right, before we get on with that, I'm just going to take myself a quick bio break, then we'll come wrap up with these Weeklies. So stretch your legs, refill your beverage. I'll be back with you in just a few minutes. See you soon. And we're back. Thank you for your patience. Get me a tap back on. Have a swig of us now called beverage. Oh. Oh, right. Let's grab up these last 4.
A potion a day. I'll shake that right up.
Stay sharp. Keep safe.
Onward.
What's the damage?
Welcome back, Emilis. Off with Pop. I was trying to think when it came to faction conflict, when was it something that wasn't affected by an outside force? Like, obviously, Sylvanas had the jailer. Garrosh had the old gods whispering in his ear. Well, I suppose that only happened with Garrosh when he first encountered the Shah in Mists, so maybe that doesn't quite count, but like, he was certainly wanting conquest before that point. But there always tends to be another force involved at some point. I mean, Battle for Azeroth certainly had us doing lots of fighting, but if at the end of it was all like, it's because of this external threat that was manipulating things from the back line, I think if they ever do approach that kind of story again, you know, Warcraft 3, yeah, I suppose that wasn't really well, no, to be fair, a lot of the orcs were demonic influence.
It's too far away.
And the undead and everything that happened with Arthas was not really faction conflict, per se. You had, like, the persecution of the High Elves. And the Night Elves versus the Orcs was certainly a faction thing, but again, it was a lot of demonic blood set stuff. That's where it ended up, right? That was more Grom searching for power at that point, I guess. There was already conflict before then. The roots of it were still demonic. I know, it's more what is a natural... a reason for fighting that isn't influenced by something like that. Yeah, that was all War of the Ancients stuff. And Queen Azshara being like, I will rule this world, and Sargeras is going to help me rule this world by burning it first, even though Sargeras' goal was utter destruction. Worries about void influence on the world soul of Azeroth, as it has now been reframed. I still think, once we hit Last Titan, Illidan and Sargeras are going to become flying back from that ship, and both are going to be on side. I think Illidan's going to be real pissy about it, but I don't see a world where you do the Last Titan, and that Last Titan isn't Sargeras. Like, yeah, we got Tia back, but it's pretty weird for the aforementioned Last Titan to be already revealed to us in that way. When we saw Tyr in Dragonflight, he was very much like, I don't know what I'm going to do now. The mortals seem to be able to handle things themselves. The dragons are handling things without the aspect's power. What do I do? Where are these unseemly growths? They're just chilled slimes. Oh, it's these. Okay. A new one. And again, we'll see Azshara again come midnight. And whatever her plan ends up being, where she has gone over to the Void Lords, explored the realms of the Void. Maybe we see that a bit in a patch. Or maybe she just joins the invasion of the Sunwell, somehow buddies up with Xal'atath. That wouldn't be too out of left field. I think it's more knowing Azshara She likes to be the one in charge, so I don't see her doing Xal'atath's bidding. Maybe they work together both with plans to betray the other down the line. That's probably the safer bet. But again, that's an opportunity to, whether it's introduced the Haranir as an allied race or potentially the Naga, maybe that's the opportunity. The Naga who are like, do you know what? Ashara we were all for, and then she went over to the Void Place and she comes back and now she's too much for even us. Like, maybe that's a way to go with it. There's still, of course, the problem of just modelling neck people and getting all the armor to fit, but certainly fit in terms of law. I know, it feels like Midnight and Last Titan, not necessarily that they've written themselves, but the potential twists and turns are a little harder to consider. Don't necessarily expect a grand betrayal of any kind, not with how things currently stand. Put to death from overwhelming force and conflict, sure. But anything really surprising? No, I don't necessarily think a story has to have some really big twist or surprise to be a good story. Far from it, it's just... there's not wrong with a bit of intrigue. I don't remember the last time WoW's had like a... there were like riddles and mysteries in the background, like the N'Zoth's... that puzzle box they did with all of the different quotes and things from N'Zoth has been, you know, that has fed the lore community for years with its constant reframing and retextualizing the different quotes as various events happen. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. Magni and the Crown of Stars... she who will betray us, and people thinking it's Jaina. She's a Dreadlord. This whole time she's been a Dreadlord. Ah! Which maybe at one point she was kidnapped and replaced by a Dreadlord. Sure, that's about as far as you can go with that theory, I think. But that's another giant factor in the back of it. Besides Nathrius and the Nathrazim clearly being a force outside of the Cosmic Order, they are something more treacherous in the back. They infiltrated the Legion, they infiltrated the Light, they've infiltrated the Void, they've infiltrated the Realm of Death. So what is the grand goal there? Does it matter? I certainly like the Nathrazim. In terms of political intrigue, there's a lot you can do with that. And over the years, it has just mainly turned into, I was a Dreadlord. Or, you know, the one who was with Sylvanas betraying her. Everything that happened with the Scarlet Crusade was mainly because of a Dreadlord pushing things. Arthas was pushed by Dreadlords. Like, everyone jokes about the jailer playing 8D chess. But the Dreadlords have been going on this whole time, and nobody seems to mind them doing it. I don't know where you fit that. Unless, well no, they can't have been working for the Titans, but I don't remember a Dreadlord who has infiltrated forces of order in any meaningful way. Is in with the Arcane. At least off the top of my head, I don't think there's a Dreadlord in any way connected to the Titans, but maybe that's something the last Titan will reveal. Maybe there'll be a Dreadlord who's like our go-to, oh, I know what's happened here. I know what the Titans did. I'm in Northrend and I'm telling you. Maybe they bring back, you know, the one who led Arthas there to begin with, Tichondrius. I can't remember in Legion how many of the demons we actually went to the Twisting Nether and killed permanently. I don't think it's that many.
What now?
Even killed Jaden, right? We were on the ship with him. Was that in the Twisting Nether? I cannot remember at all. That's the thing with things like demons and folks that can return. there's always the possibility.
Got a special
I'd have to
recipe
do some
for ya.
reading.
Always read the labels. Shaken, not stirred.
Get it done. Watch it out there. Keep safe.
Beautiful. So our weekly quests cleared up. Head on back to Donegal. I'll level up our item level a little bit. Tomorrow we'll do our usual LFR run. Then come Friday, back into Delves. I think for the Monday, it's Easter bank holiday over here. I may just take the day off, to be fair. I know for streaming it's kind of a different scenario, but I could probably do with it, to be perfectly honest. Oh, we got our bird mask. Our trader's person, fancy bird mask. Some Aarakocra looking stuff. I'm not necessarily a big fan of the whole Darkmoon Fair jester related gear, but there's some pretty nice bird. I wonder how it looks on a Worgen. Oh, I bet it's horribly stretched. Thank you, Emily. That support means a lot.
Fine day for trade.
And a lot of feelings of potential burnout. There's just there's stuff going on behind the scenes that's made it a little bit challenging, but want to keep at it. None of these. I got a mushroom weapon. Prowler colours okay, but I don't see my. I kind of want to save up my tendies. Don't need the pink dresses. I got one of those. I don't like the big old gloves. Not for me.
Always a pleasure.
Right, let's go hand this other one in with Faerun. Faerun is a character I've liked. It's just, will she turn on us come whatever their empire does?
Proceed.
Oh, this one didn't actually give me Undermine rewards, which is unfortunate. Which one of these reps is closest to a chest? Cancel.
Returning to work.
There we go. We'll go grab that in a moment.
Lamplighter brings
I think it's in
hope.
their little throne room.
If you are lost in darkness, all the
That's
people
another
of
pinnacle chest.
Khazar are coming together more than ever because of you.
Thank you, Faerun. Be you over here, won't it? Yes. Give me that booty.
I have an extended supply of goods.
Lovely. Stuff, followed by more stuff. Soulbound, can sell those. Or crests. Let's go have a natter with our upgrade friends. See if we can push the item level a little bit more. Not that it helped much with the underpin. Dear God.
There is much to discover.
Bloody football fight. As long as I get him down before the big .2 patch. So we've probably 3 or 4 months before that timer goes through. So I think it'll be alright. Okay. Grab up these. Couple of those uns.
May we all find what we seek.
I can't use that.
Where's my open all button? God damn it!
It's still charging.
How fare you?
43 robbed. Weathered, that'll take me to level 15 there. I can't do maths, not enough. 2 will be though.
Farewell.
Again, I said this last time. I just wish there was a button which is like convert to the highest I can do, rather than go through this bloody rigmarole.
Skies called to me. In unity, find strength.
That should let me get one of the other
What
ones, which I
brings
then
you
can use
here?
to upgrade. Nope. Where did I go wrong? Get the
It
weathered.
is a world of
Do them.
wonders. We have slept long enough.
Free off. Ugh,
Until
sadness.
next time.
May you
Actually
find
remember
what
to-
you seek.
Wait. No, that means I didn't get any. My valor points are close to capping out.
There is much to be done.
Hate that I can't spend the damn things. Because now we're out of crest. I mean, we'll have them when we get into delves. Wish there was a tag here that let me only show my equipped gear so I don't accidentally upgrade something I'm not wearing. That'd be a nightmare. I'm pretty sure we can't do sod all. Nay.
Farewell.
What I will be able to do, it has been another week, the catalyst should actually let me turn a piece of gear into some tier set, which would be nice. Which one's hero? The gloves are hero. Yes, as much as I would much rather do the shoulder pads to unlock their cosmetic, I only get the one. I'd rather it be a piece of gear I'm not then going to replace. So we will do the gloves. That should also be the mythic colour. Oh, not yet. It's the blue first. Which is good, because then I get the transmog for both. But it's starting to look a little less hodgepodge. Here's a nice looking set as well. Alright, let's deposit some stuff in the war bank. Well, let me sell a Garabin Tarot first. Yeah, robbing
My
bastards.
directive is to serve you.
I have an extended
Forgot to
supply
deposit
of
my
goods
market
for
research, goddammit.
outlanders.
It's alright. Can do it another day. Oh boy. Gonna have to get on the enchanter soon, because this is getting a little untenable.
Return.
Alright. With that then, for today, I'll say thank you very much. Oh, wait for all these to run past me. There we are. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed yourselves, don't forget to hit that like button. Help push the video through the algorithm so more folks can come hang out, play some games with us. Subscribe for more content here on the channel. We're here on the weekdays, 9 AM GMT with World of Warcraft, and between 4 and 6 in the evening we start up with other games. Currently, just getting into Avowed. Really enjoyed the first stream of it on Monday. Excited to do more. We'll be adventuring with Garrus later. Kai, rather. And you can find playlists to all the games we've already covered right here on the channel to binge to your heart's content. And thank you for those who've joined me live. A pleasure as always. And for those who watch later, cheers again for your time. With that being said, folks, much love, take care, and bye-bye.
So, an orc walks into a bar with a parrot on his shoulder. The bartender says, "Hey, where'd you get that?" The parrot says, Duratar. They got them all over the place.